Board indicates how our 4 matches will go today and what is one of our strongest fields of the year. So join us next on the Professional Bowler Spring Tour for the $100,000 Denver Open. Hey, it's stop number 2 of the spring, and the Rocky Mountains will serve as the backdrop for the $100,000 Denver Open, where the following 5 bowlers will compete for the $13,000 top prize. Our number 5 qualifier was the winner of the Houston Open last week from Pompano Beach, Florida, Bob Handley. He'll face the PBA's all-time leading money winner and title holder from Dublin, California, Earl Anthony. Our number 3 qualifier is the holder of 2 tour titles from Milwaukee, Oregon, Dave Houston. The number 2 qualifier has 6 PBA titles from Roseville, California, Steve Cook. And the tournament leader, who is seeking to become the first 3-time winner of the year from St. Petersburg, Florida, Tom Milton. That's our field today on the Professional Bowlers Spring Tour. And here now you see a portion of the 80 lanes at the unique Celebrity Sports Center in Denver, Colorado. And what a pleasure to return to this friendly city, and you can hear. And the number 1 money winner and title holder of all time, Earl Anthony. And with the conditions, you are going to see some incredible pen action here this afternoon live from Denver. This is our 17th event in the state of Colorado over the years, starting in 1963. A 1970 winner, our colleague Nelson Burton Jr. We go to him now, a pair of professionals alongside. Bo?
Thank you, Chris. This week, the 2 players that have just about dominated the field, the man on my right, Mr. Consistency in 1983, Tom Milton, and the man on to the left of you is none other than Steve Cook, the big guy, who had a sensational year in 1982, Steve, but 1983 has been a bit inconsistent. Has it been something in your game or something out there on the lane conditions?
Well, Bo, I feel like I've been throwing the ball pretty well this winter, except for the lanes have been excessively hooking for me. And after the Firestone, I went home and I took 2 weeks and I just tried to learn how to break my wrist, get the ball to go straight. And I came out last week in Houston and I used it all week and made the finals, and then I came this week here and I could throw my ball, the ball the way I usually throw it, and I feel pretty good about myself. If I can learn how to throw the ball straight, I'll give Earl a tussle.
Well, the man on my left, Tom Milton, who is in the number 1 position. Tom, they say conditions make the players on the Pro Bowlers Tour. Steve Cook says they hooked too much this year. Is that the reason you've been bowling so well?
Well, for me, they haven't been hooking excessively. For me, it's a matter of I just put together some of the knowledge from the first 2 or 3 years I was out here, and I picked up some confidence, and it's all just added up to a real good year so far. Hope I can keep it up.
Well, they'll have some big scores, Chris. You said it. The pin action's there. There's been records set here before. Let's see what happens today.
Okay, and here we go, Bo, with that first match, ladies and gentlemen. Last week's winner, Crankin' Bob Handley. Now bowling out of Florida. He's on the right, shaking the hand of, well, perhaps the greatest bowler of all time, Earl Anthony, who has 41 titles, his 14th year as a pro. Bob Handley, as you remember, won last week in Houston, Texas. 7-year veteran, 3 titles to his credit, and watch that ball, the trajectory of the ball. He's shooting first on the left lane. Crossing over and gets them all. And this perma-lane condition here at the Celebrity Sports Center. Bob Handley opening with a strike, and now Earl Anthony, qualified 4th. And Steve Cook was mentioning something about Earl when he was talking to Bo. Earl on TV has yet to beat Steve. And it's the 3-pin on the right lane, and Earl talks a little bit to himself, is one of his characteristics. Great concentrator. One of the ingredients that makes him as great as he is.
I agree, Chris. He has a lot of self-confidence, and on the championship here, he's had a .261 average this week.
And a professional wastes no time. Knows what he's going to do, gets up on the approach and fires. Bob Handley, Earl Anthony, the winner to meet Dave Houston, United States Open champion, then Big Steve Cook, to be followed by the tournament leader, Tom Milton. Earl Anthony has won 2 events this year. If he can go all the way today, he would be the first to win 3 in 1983, and the same is true of Tom Milton. So a lot at stake today in the Denver Open. Well, Bo, a little 6-8.
The players say the left-hand lane is a little bit tighter or slicker than the right-hand lane. Earl points the ball up to the pocket. It breaks very sharp at the back end, cuts right through the 1-2. He leaves the 6-8. That's the same thing as a 4-9 for the right-hander. As the purse breakdown to $100,000 this week, the top 5 players are sharing in that money.
13 to the winner, and to the loser in that final match, 75. Earl going all out for it, but he has an open frame in the second after marking with a spare. Now to Bob Handley, who had a strike on the left lane of this championship pair, opening up our first match live from Denver. Now let's see what he does on the right. He's moved way to the left, right alongside the return. And watch him stalk the line. It's like my slice in golf, only the opposite way.
Chris, that goes in the record as one of the wildest shots we've seen on the Professional Bowlers Tour. He's supposed to be sending it out near the channel. Look how sharp the ball breaks. He clips the 4, 7, 8 off the left-hand side. Bob looked down at his hand. It must have slipped, but a lot of the players have been slipping on the approaches, Chris, and the throws are timing off. You see Hanley shaking his head.
I'm familiar with that lead. That's what he wanted to do with the first shot. All right. Oh, how professional they are. They just come back. Something goes wrong, and boom, perfect pocket hit.
Bob Handley last year made the championship round here at Celebrity Lanes and rolled a 278 to Wayne Webb's 211 in the opening match. A little disturbance behind him, taking his time. He has to give the ball plenty of room to the right.
Didn't quite come up, leaving the... looks like a lot of prairie between the 2 and 10 pin on that left lane for Bob Handley.
The left-hand lane doesn't hook as much as the right-hand lane. Handley sends it out pretty wide, and here it comes back very late. The oil is carried down the lane surface. He leaves the 210, a hit that Handley is very familiar with. He'll go across lane and try to slide the 2 into the 10.
So both professionals now have tried to convert their splits. So we have 2 open frames in our first game. All even now, and Anthony is now shooting in the third after an open in the second. 27 through 2 frames. There you see his 217.7 average for the year. That's #1 of all the pros. Just like 10 pins dancing 60 feet away.
Profile of Earl Anthony, 5-step delivery, just smooth and easy, methodical, slightly bent left elbow, steady head. Watch his head, doesn't even move, doesn't even feather his hair as he comes through the shot. Solid in the pocket. The match is all even. Earl can take the lead with another strike.
Earl has never won in Denver. All but the 3 pin.
The left-hand lane may be the key to winning the title here today, Chris. David Houston came off the lanes right before we went on here and said, Bo, if they can hit the left lane, they'll be very tough. Bob Handley said his ball won't come back. Earl Anthony has been high and light on the left lane. The right lane seems very easy.
And continuing to cover the single pins, and for Earl Anthony, it's a spare in the 4th frame, and the match is close. We're in Denver. Wide world today. There should be plenty of heavyweight action. Burbick Gordon.
Well, Chris, the power of Gordon will be interesting to see if moving up that weight class and giving up that weight difference allow him to stay in there with Burbick, who went all the way with Holmes earlier in his career.
That's right, and he's a classy boxer, sharp puncher, but Gordon is a devastating puncher. Wide world today. Now Bob Handley, shooting in the 4th frame after an open. Not a perfect pocket hit, but they're all down. And the first strike for Bob Handley on the right lane today.
Wrist cocked completely under the ball as he stalks the foul line. Handley, a good arm swing, cocked wrist, off the top. Now watch him drive through with that right foot into a good slide. The wrist action all the way through the ball. He just scattered the pins all over the place. Tie match through 4 frames.
Bob Hanley, 6'1", 175 pounds. The light heavyweight limit in boxing. All right, back-to-back strikes, one on each. So Bob Hanley, who won last week, and Earl Anthony, this is his 6th championship round appearance. He won the True Value Open at Landmark Lanes in Peoria, winning from the top spot. Later won the PBA National Championship for his 6th time. Finished second twice this year, when he was the tournament leader, losing. Now they're warming up to the occasion. We had a chance earlier to ask Earl how he'll combat today's slippery approaches.
Well, as you know, the problem most of us have here is slipping, and once in a while with the humidity in the air, they do get a little tacky in the corners. So what I have to worry about is getting to the foul line square every time so I don't twist my knee and damage that cartilage, and my knee will swell up. I'm out of the tournament.
Chris, we're using synthetic lanes and synthetic approaches, and they start off sticky, and as they bowl on them, they get much slipperier. Earl's got to watch out.
Well, leaving the 3, 5, 6 on the left lane for Earl Anthony. 6-footer who weighs 185 pounds. Always in good condition. There you see the 3 pins. The Rolaids tip of the week, this week, is on spot bowling. I think you'll really enjoy it. It'll come a little later on our live telecast from Denver as we look at Bob Hanley now, who has that double up. He's shooting the 6th frame, can increase his lead to 20 with a strike here. Nearly found the channel, but left the 7-10.
The right-hand lane, Hanley gives it plenty of room. It almost drops in the channel, Chris, and it comes flying back, and 7-10 on a swisher hit. Look at this pin action. Here's the ball breaking in from the stream outside angle. He drives to the 1-3. The 5 goes right over there in front of the 7. Normally it'll take it out. Hanley, a bad break, will just go for 1 pin. He'll use a little extra speed.
Covers the 10. It's his 2nd open frame. Nearly kicked it back out. There you see now, he went from the lead. Now he trails by 4. Now shooting in the 7th frame. This is our first game. If you just joined us, the winner will meet Dave Houston, then Big Steve Cook, followed by the tournament leader, Tom Milton. Tremendously strong field. All winners. Bob Hanley's mother and sister are here, watching him along with you. We're in Denver, where the sun shines 310 days a year. 5 events is Denver. And the great Earl Anthony now, leading by 4, has a spare up shooting in the 7th frame. Loved it. Came at the right time as he's bowling Bob Hanley, last week's winner in Houston. Warming up is Dave Houston, who will meet the winner.
Hanley coming up and Anthony coming up in the 8th frame using a polyurethane rubber combination bowling ball. Hasn't had a strike on this lane. He went high in the 2nd frame, light in the 4th, once again light in the 6th. Let's see if he can make the adjustment, get a strike here in the 8th, and lead by 14.
He stood 8th last night and won 5 match play games to get into the finals. Now another split. 4, 7, 10.
Completely unexpected scoring, Chris. We thought the scores would be very high as we see Earl cut right through and give up his lead if he doesn't make the 4, 7, 10. We thought that the players would keep the ball wide. The tremendous pin action in the Mile High City, I guess with the lack of humidity and lack of air resistance, we've seen tremendous pin action, but not so far in the first match.
The O's of the capacity crowd here at Celebrity Sports Center in Denver, and more open frames. These are the leaders by rounds. Dave Husted, whom you'll see next, Steve Cook, Tom Milton, Cook and Milton again, seesawing back and forth. But right now, Bob Hanley, leading by 10, has a strike up, shooting in the 8th frame. Try to jump on the error by Anthony. Another split. And again, it's a 210, and Bob has seen that before.
Sliding right by. You can see the players just slipping on the approach. They're driving up there. The ball should come back and drive right into the pocket right there. The ball is not getting the lift that we've seen all week. The head pin goes to sideboard. He leaves the 210 once again. And Chris, I think it's all because they haven't been able to dig in on those approaches. They're too slippery.
Mm-hmm. The 210, Bob Hanley. Tried to bounce it out. Bob Hanley of Fairway, Kansas, former school teacher.
Hanley, the power player, here's the strategy he had on a championship player. He was going to play the extreme outside line, and if the heads or this first part of the lane start to hook, he'll ease off on the power. Chris, he needs to jump on it right now. He hasn't been getting his normal power, and it's all in the footwork. Right now, he trails by 2 pins, 9th frame coming up.
Beautiful strike for Bob Hanley, who is engaged to the lady professional bowler, great star in Mary Ellen Majors. And doing some extensive remodeling to a home, and he said he needed the money because the architect had just sent him the bill, $1,100.
Well, he can make that if he just wins this one game right here.
Mm-hmm. Now Earl Anthony leading by 2. This is the 9th frame following an open. Beautifully controlling the speed, but left the 7 on the right lane.
Let's see if Earl has any trouble with the approaches as he shoots for the 7-pin. When the players move either to the extreme left or the extreme right, they have a tendency to stick or slip. Let's see what happens on this shot. Earl needs to make this to stay in the match.
He's just stood at that line, tugging at his trousers, thinking he was going to blow it.
And Chris, watch his footwork. Here's what happened. He went up the line, smooth and methodical. Now watch, that's 3. Now watch his 5th step as he drives through very tentatively. He barely makes the spare. He doesn't even get the net. Normally he stays down at the line. Look at 2 feet on the ground. But right, Chris trails by 2, needs a double. Stay in contention.
Has only 3 strikes in this game. He has yet to strike on the left lane where he chose to finish. Here he is. Just didn't come up. Did it get away from him at the line, Bo?
Once again, we have not seen the players get their normal power, and he's needed that strike as he leaves the 1, 3, 6, 9. The ball slides by the head pin. Earl hasn't even been close on the left-hand lane except in the very first frame. He bowled over there. He needs to make this spare to stay in the match. Right now, the best he can do is 169.
Earl Anthony, who has won $122,000 this year. Bob Hanley has won $35,370. Shaking his head.
Anthony with a strike would make Hanley fill 19 pins in the 10th frame. It's still not over.
It's still not a strike on that pesky left lane. The 1, 3, 7 stand, and Earl Anthony, who finished 4th, has now finished with a 166, and on this championship pair, he averaged 261 during the week. Hanley averaged 211.
Hanley, who is opened in the 6th and 8th frames, needs a mark here in the 10th.
Now, can you believe that? You're looking at the 8-10 on the right lane. Bo, this is unbelievable.
Chris, he ball hooks so late, he doesn't have a chance. Watch the head pin go to the sideboard, take out the 2, 4, and leave up the 8-10. Hanley must make this to win, or Earl Anthony goes on into the 2nd match. he'll go for it. Maximum speed.
And when you know... Striking. Many great attributes, including a steady head at the line. $100,000 Denver Open will return. That's an unusual strike on the left lane, but unusual is not the word for what happened while we're away in the 4th frame. Dave Houston's first shot leaving the 6-7, Nelson.
Watch this, Chris. I've never seen it before in professional bowling. The ball right in the ideal strike spot. Now watch what pins stand up. The 6 and the 7. The pins were of so little resistance to the ball actually chopped the 3 straight off the 6th. Unbelievable.
What balance of that 6-pin. Now, Earl Anthony opened with a double, then a beautiful conversion, followed it up with a strike. Double. Certainly more consistent than his first game when he had only 3 strikes, but he won. And that's final score is what counts, 166 to 159. Now leading by 51. You see the plight of Dave Houston, who finished 3rd overall. Struck 3 times on the left lane, failing to strike in the first game on the left side. Now Houston back up.
This week's average 227, Chris. He could still get it going.
And he left a 10-pin on the right lane.
Not much you can do. He threw the ball so well in the 4th frame, left that unusual 6-7. Once again, he stroked the ball down there, leaves the weak 10. If he converts this pair, he'll still be trailing by 61 pins, but he can throw some strikes.
And what a feeling it must be for Steve Cook and Tom Milton, who finished 2nd and 1st, who are warming up, but seeing what's happening to the first 3 professionals on this pair, they're probably wondering what's going to happen to them. 7th frame for Dave Houston. And the pinup boy comes through with a strike on the left side. Dave Houston and Earl Anthony head-to-head. You'll see more of that second match following.
Anthony just a bit slow on that, as you see Earl's record so far this year, 14 events, top 24, 10 times top 5, 6. He'll just go for 2 pins here. He has a big lead in the match.
Gets one. Bowling against Dave Houston of Milwaukee, Oregon. We're in Denver, a city that is recognized along with Houston and Calgary as one of the 3 top energy centers in North America. And boy, are they using energy today, but they are a little more relaxed, Bo, because it's comical what's happened thus far.
I agree, Chris. We expected high scores. The players have had a bit of trouble with the approaches, and professional bowlers can contend with slippery approaches or sticky, but not on the same approach. Sometimes they slip, sometimes they stick. That's what throws them off.
Loaded the split, leaving the 3-6. And if you just joined us, Earl won the first match against Bob Handley, a winner of last week in Houston, a score of 166 to 159. Now he's going against Dave Houston. Dave Houston now ready to shoot in the 8th frame, and he has a strike up, trailing by 44 pins. again as we replay 3, 4, 6, 7, 10 left.
Chris, the most unusual hits we've had in one championship round is as long as I can ever remember. Right through the heart. Houston cuts him out. Let's see if he can make it.
The establishment of 80 bowling lanes. 10 to Houston. Celebrity Lanes at that time was opened in 1959 by a special group of celebrities headed by the late Walt Disney, who had as his partners Jack Benny, Bing Crosby, George Burns, and their lives. Dave Houston can't believe what he sees.
Well, you see the pin roll around, the head pin roll around and knock the 10 out. Actually, Houston's only really strikes he's had are strikes on very light hits, taking advantage of the 3-pound, 4-ounce pin. You see the head pin over in the left channel, rolls around, taps out the 10, but it's too little too late. The best Houston can do is 170. Earl's got the match in hand.
Well, we're in the mile-high city, Nelson, 5,280 feet. Do you suppose the light air has anything to do with what we see down there?
Chris, we've bowled in 4 different houses in the Colorado area, and I believe you're correct. The light air and the altitude make the pin action very good. There's not much humidity and not much resistance, and we've always had great pin action in this area.
And Earl Anthony won that first match 166 to 159, and he has won his second. Of course, we do not have the final score as he bowls against Dave Houston, and will now face Big Steve Cook, whom he has never defeated on TV. We'll be back after this. Our second match here in Denver, Earl Anthony improving his final score by 44 pins, defeating Dave Houston 210 to 149 in a most unusual afternoon here in Denver. Now it's time for the Rolaids Tip of the Week, a tip that you've seen before and one that's most talked about of them all. It's an unusual look at spot bowling with Nelson Burton Jr. Here it is.
The Professional Bowler's Tip of the Week is brought to you by Rolaids.
The objective of bowling is to knock down as many pins as possible. To achieve this, you must understand the principles of both accuracy and trajectory. To demonstrate these principles of bowling, we have devised an ingenious teaching device, the ordinary Venetian blind. When it is open, you can see the pins, but when it is closed, I am forced to pick a spot out on the lane for my strike ball. Theoretically, if I throw the ball over that spot, I will get a strike. Over the yellow tape. Hey, not too bad. Well, our theory works on strikes. Let's see how it works on the 10-pin. As you can see, accuracy and control are the keys to consistency and good bowling.
Statistics.
160-man field, average to cash 48th spot, 209, 214 to make the top 24. And a good, strong field, Chris, as most all the top players showed up this week. Jay Robinson, who was the alternate, just missed by a little bit. He needed a double in the 10th to get by Earl Anthony. Bob Warren up there. Pete Weber gave it a run. Watch out for Brian Voss. Acosta getting it together. Westberg, the lefty. Spigner steady. Wayne Webb back in the winner's circle. Deadeye Williams, our horseshoe player. Matt Serena, cameo appearance. Firestone number 2 man, Henry Gonzalez, Pete McCordy, Gary Dickinson, Steve Lewis, Dennis Pate from Texas, Mark Williams 2 weeks in a row, Gus Yanneris, nice guy. Baronick right up there, and Jimmy Certain round out the top 24.
And Bo, now we go into the 5th appearance head-to-head on television live between Earl Anthony and Steve Cook. Steve, with a rather outstanding feat, has won all 4 previous television meetings against Earl. Look at the size, 6'6", 240 pounds. Talk about a heavyweight.
You're right, Chris, and he's in shape, and I think it's going to be 5-0 against Earl after this game. I think Cook has got the line for the championship here. He throws the big ball down the left side. He's aggressive, and he's got Earl's number.
All right, clearing them off the deck. Earl Anthony gets into this 3rd game as a result of defeating Bob Hanley in the first, 166 to 159. Then in the last game, defeating David Houston, 210 to 149 with 7 strikes. And the the southpaws are even, and look at that smile.
He's still fishing, Chris. He was playing the extreme outside line the first game and struggled. He played the inside line the second game. As you see, the ball drive perfectly into the pocket, all 10 pins in the pit. Chris, he was playing the medium inside line. The second game was not satisfied with that. He's opted for a line around the 6th or 7th board. That's normally Earl's best shot.
Wobbly 6 on the left lane for Earl Anthony.
Earl Anthony drives into the 1-2 pocket, and you see the pin right here, the 3 pin. That usually goes to sideboard, knocks out the 10, and then the 6. Watch, it doesn't quite get the 6 on this shot.
We're in Denver, Colorado, where the Denver Center for the Performing Arts, an over $80 million complex, Bo, is larger than Lincoln Center in New York or Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C.
Full-size Olympic pool with, as many of the kids like it, 3 water slides, 6 stories high, sliding right in behind us in the Olympic pool area.
We'll do a lot in this center. Strike up, second frame. Look at that powerful double. Oh, is he going to be hard to beat? Remember, he's been waiting in the wings. 2 games have gone by, and the man that actually lost to the 5 on this championship pair with a 197 average has opened with a double. Roseville, California.
Steve Cook puts a little rosin on his ball, and in the holes, he must wipe that off according to rules. It can't be on the lane, or anything can come off on the lane surface cannot be used on the ball. And he conforms to those rules. It just gives him a good feel in the holes.
6 years a pro, he has won 6 PBA titles.
Watch this truck as he sends it down the lane, right between the 2nd, 3rd arrow, out to almost the 1st board, and Steve Cook just saws up the 3-pound, 5-ounce Surlyn pins. Even he looked back to see if they were still moving. He has a 20-pin lead.
3rd frame, spare working, Earl Anthony. And he left the 7-pin on the right lane.
Earl said his strategy in these matches, once he found the pocket, was hope that the other player, the power player such as Cook, makes a mistake and Earl can keep it in the pocket. So far, Earl has lived on the mistakes of the other 2 players, David Houston and Bob Hanley.
Earl proud of his 41 championships in his 14 years as a professional. 6th appearance on television here in 1983. 2-time winner. Three-5.
Kind of loose out there. He got by 2 matches kind of fortuitously, Chris, and then now he's having a little fun because he's really struggling. He's hoping that Steve Cook will make a mistake. 3-5, you have to guard against the chop.
Denver, once the land of buffalo and roving tribes of Cheyenne and Arapaho Indians. We'll be back with 4 in a row. Five-bagger here in the 3rd match. Powerful Steve Cook going against 2-time winner today, Earl Anthony.
Never a doubt about the last 2 strikes that Steve Cook threw. One of the most powerful balls on the Pro Tour, especially on the left side. He's got Earl Anthony backed up against the wall. 43-pin lead, 5th frame.
Just did not come up the 1, 3, 6, 7, and that'd be enough to take the wind out of your sails.
Well, when Steve Cook's right, and you know the psychology of sports, Chris, better than most any person I've ever met. When a guy has a guy's number, it seems like he just whips him almost every time. This could be 5 in a row for Anthony against Cook.
And throughout the afternoon, including his 2:10 of the second game, he seems to be very much in a hurry. A little fast. Anthony now trailing by 58 by virtue of 5 in a row. Steve Cook.
It's like a golfer standing over a putt and not knowing really where to putt the ball or how hard. He can see the hole, but he doesn't know how to get it there, and Anthony's confused for sure.
Like there, coming up high, leaving the 2-4 on the left lane. The tournament leader waiting to bowl the winner of this game, Tom Milton, like Anthony, a 2-time winner this year. From St. Petersburg, Florida. Here are the 2 West Coast left-handers in match number 3. Now, Steve Cook. At one time in his life, he was a champion archer.
At age 12, he was the junior finalist in the junior archery competition in the California area, and I think it's really helped his hand-eye coordination, Chris. Plus, that builds quite a bit of strength in the arm that you use. Of course, he was a left-handed shooter.
He might have made a great heavyweight boxer. 6'6", 240, trimmed down a bit from that. Got a little middle there that he had to shave off, but he's big. He is halfway toward the true value $50,000 check. We asked Steve what some of the players do for relaxation on the tour.
Well, since the weather's been nice on the spring tour, a bunch of us guys like to play softball, and we try to get a team organized, and we took it out and try to find teams in different towns that'll like to play us. And it's just something we like to do for fun and relaxation.
And he's the cleanup hitter, Chris. They say he can really move that softball out of there.
Now, he's shooting in the 7th frame. He has 6 strikes. .47 on the left lane. The professional who bowled high games of 300, 296, and 278.
And he knew it right away. The ball normally when he strikes is out here. As you can see, it's up in this area and it cuts right through the nose. He breaks up the 4, 6, 7, 10. Gets a fairly simple spare, the 4, 7. And he has the match well in hand. He knew it the minute he let go of it, Chris.
An open frame for Steve Cook after a 6-bagger. We'll be back with more of our 3rd match, the semifinal game between Cook and Anthony. But
Arizona Desert for the $100,000 Tucson Open. Veteran Mike Durbin will be on hand to defend his title. Join us for live coverage of the final round at 3:30 Eastern Time here on ABC.
a look at our final 3 stops on the spring tour. Next week in Tucson, June 11th, Southern California Open in Torrance, and then Seattle Open, June 25th. So, Bo, we have a week open.
Chris will be in San Jose at Futurama Lanes for another big tournament, $110,000, not televised by ABC.
Earl Anthony, who had 7 strikes in his second victory of the afternoon. He's had trouble finding them here in the 3rd match. In fact, that's only his 2nd strike in 7 frames. Going against Steve Cook.
Earl Anthony, the highest rated player on the performance rating this year, 16.8. That's his average finish per tournament, Chris. We have 3 players in the top 10 in the field today.
Earl Anthony leaving a 4-pin. We're inside the Celebrity Sports Center, sports complex that proudly boasts of 80 bowling lanes and has since 1959.
Steve Cook, match in hand, must keep the adrenaline flowing. When you get a match this far ahead, Chris, it's easy to let down, and when you need to throw it this hard, you'll be in trouble against Tom Milton. He has to trust that ball to the left, keep up the speed, keep up the adrenaline.
Ball hooking a little too sharply at the end, leaving the 6-pin. Candy Cook, watching along with you.
She says they're just waiting to pick up their motor home, and all their children get out of school June 9th in California, so they'll have the family operation back together in 2 weeks.
Looking at the man that won the 1981 Firestone Tournament of Champions. And he walks back over to the line.
You can't believe it. The ball breaks so much at the back end. Now watch this ball as it slides down, and all of a sudden, look, just makes a right turn as it slides by the pin. Chris, that ball hooked 3 feet in a distance of 6, traveled down the lanes. Amazing. These players are going to have to learn to cut that hook down or use an open-handed shot to make spares. Entirely too many spares missed in the last 2 weeks.
Whereas on Wide World of Sports to follow, 2 men fighting in a heavyweight bout that hope for a lot of solidly landed left hooks. Trevor Burbick against the WBC cruiserweight champion. That's the division between heavyweights at 200 and the light heavyweight at 175. St. Flash Gordon, a tremendous puncher. Wide World today. Okay. He's up at that line cheering the pins.
Well, he had to make sure he got a mark. We thought the match was completely over after 6 frames, but if Cook had finished with 4 opens and Anthony struck out, there was a possibility, but he closed the door with that strike.
So the man they come to see, Earl Anthony, has left the 1-3-6 on the right lane.
Earl's got to feel very fortunate, though. He struggled all 3 games today, and he was just the survival of the fittest in those matches. But the players in the number 1 and 2 spot, Cook and Milton, have been awesome all week.
And Susie Anthony, his wife, awaiting his arrival in Kansas City. And Steve Cook is waiting to get into that championship match against the tournament leader, Tom Milton. That's our next match as the Professional Bowler Spring Tour will continue after this message from one of our sponsors and station identification. From Bakersfield, California, and from Roseville, California, it's Steve Cook, who defeated Earl Anthony 225 to 176 and now goes against Tom Milton, St. Petersburg, Florida, in the Denver Open Championship 1-game head-to-head match. Let's take a look at the 1983 money list. Earl Anthony again over $100,000. Tom Milton is second and can pick up another $13,000 today, followed by Joe Berardi, Janello, and Mike Durbin. And down the list and through the first 10, pretty good earnings. Nelson. It gets a little better every year, and we're glad for that, because this is a tough way to make a buck being on the Professional Bowlers Tour. And we know after 22 years how difficult it is.
One-on-one situation as the players are still taking practice ball. Milton practicing a few spares, Chris. He had to have been learning a lesson.
And a handshake. Steve Cook and Tom Milton, the tournament leader, who on this championship era averaged 230.5. His week's average 230.1.
Earl Anthony just came up here and said something to me, Chris. He says, these guys will shoot real well. It's the big hook ball players. They'll get them today.
So Tom Milton, in his 4th championship round appearance of 1983 and 5th in his career, is opened with a strike. Here's a man that started with 6 in a row in his match against Earl Anthony. Wound up with 8 strikes, shooting a 225 to Anthony's 176.
Towards the end of that match against Earl Anthony, start easing up and not giving the ball enough room. Let's see what he does as he starts out in the championship match.
Just like he started the semifinal game. Powerful strike.
Chris, two of the players that have one of the greatest championship round career records on the Professional Bowlers Tour. Steve Cook has 14 wins and 7 losses, 5 of those wins coming against Earl Anthony. And Tom Milton is 4-2 with a 226.5 lifetime average. We can expect some big things.
Left lane now, second frame, final game of the Denver Open. And now hit with a 6-7 split on that left side.
And a Parrott good hit. As much hook as he throws, it's unbelievable, but that ball did not cut through even farther. Look at the ball out to the first board, then snaps back. Now watch this pin action on the right-hand part of your screen. Look at the ball, almost no deflection at all, and he gets a bad break, a 6-7. Tough spare for him with all that hook too. 7-1's the odds would have to even be higher for Cook.
And Steve Cook has made a big error after that big hook on the second ball right here early in the championship match. Open frame second. Strike up for the tournament leader, Tom Milton. Pin.
Solid 10. That small, short backswing of Tom Milton's actually saved him on that shot. He slipped on the approaches we've seen some of the other players do, but he's so soft and tiptoey as he goes up the line. He rectified the shot at the foul line and still got it in the pocket. Now, he was practicing some spares, Chris. Let's see if it pays off on this shot.
6'3", 200 pounds, cross lane for the 10. Tom Milton, who started bowling at 12, came out on the tour at age 23. He's now reached 27.
Tom Milton, who had an injured elbow, you can see it right here. Now, how it affects his game is has shortened his backswing. Now, he used to have a high backswing, and now when he gets to the top of his backswing, that elbow right here, where he has a pad on it, has reduced his swing and his speed, but has increased his accuracy.
Pin on the left lane, relatively high hit.
That cartilage he tore in his right elbow in 1981, Chris, has really been a blessing in disguise. He was always a wild power player, and since he shortened his backswing approximately 1 foot, he's been much more accurate, and he's come right near the top of the money list with 2 titles so far this year.
Winner at Hartford and Cleveland. Ooh, just. Shaving it off. Now Cook. Open frame in the second, trailing by 13 pins. Shooting in the third.
No lead would be safe in a match with these two players. Strike bowlers both averaged over 230 for the 42-game grind this week. They can put a lot of strikes together and string them out.
Second strike now in this final game for Steve Cook. He had 8 in his victory over Earl Anthony. Profile replay.
The big guy, 5-step delivery. He bowls as well as any big man I've ever seen in the game. A perfectly straight arm swing, wrist cocked, much like we saw with Bob Hanley. He's a power player. Then look at the good deep knee bend and extension all the way through the ball. I've never seen a man that big get that low, Chris.
Remember, he's 6 feet 6 inches tall. 240 pounds. Stay flexible.
Carry.
Well, he thought he had them all.
You're right, Chris. He said halfway down the lane, carry, so he expected the ball to be a little lighter in the pocket. He's giving it plenty of room, but he's been high 3 times on the left-hand lane in the 2 matches, and it has surprised him both times. He thought that was solid.
He was high, and right now he's hot, wearing an RF microphone. Denver, Colorado. Tom Milton, the tournament leader, you see in the insert there, is going against Steve Cook, who eliminated Earl Anthony in the previous game, 225 to 176. Milton, the right-hander, leading by 13 pins, shooting in the 4th frame, spare up. Beautiful strike for the Floridian, Tom Milton. We asked him earlier why he feels a win today is important.
I would think that winning a 3rd title would be very important and would give me possibly my only chance at winning Bowler of the Year, with Earl having so much more in the money list and leading the average list. I would think that gives him a great advantage. So I think to win a 3rd title is important.
Well, that is a strong point.
Earl Anthony is going to 217 average and Milton to 213. They're talking about Bowler of the Year.
Clearing the deck. Let's replay that shot.
And watch the head pin do the damage on these pin decks, which are made of artificial material. The head pin goes to sideboard, never even drops in the channel, bounces back across the lane, and drives out the 10. We used to think that was a lucky shot, Chris. It's very commonplace today with today's power players and lively pins.
In the Mile High City today, Cook with a spare up, shooting in the 5th frame, trailing by 23. Beauty appreciated by all. And though we get a lot of letters from shut-ins, and there's one in particular back home that's recovering, a nice lady named Allegra Fullrider, who watches this show every week. It's great for the people that are shut in and can watch TV.
Well, it's so entertaining, and they can surely empathize with a player in a win and loss situation. And a player like Steve Cook right now trailing by 23 pins. He hasn't been that far off on the left-hand lead. Can cut the lead of Tom Milton's down to just 13 with a strike here in the 6th.
And also to be young and active and physically strong. And this man is 26 years old. Big. Tune in to not only Wide World of Sports for infinite variety, you get it on the Professional Bowlers Tour as well.
The 3-pin trips out to 610, Chris. Once again, he thought he was solid in the pocket. He's been high 3 times in a row. Here he goes down. He knows he really threw this well. Here comes the 6-pin over. He likes it. He only trails by 13. Tom Milton up in the 6th frame, double working.
Another wide trajectory on that shot, and another strike for the Floridian.
Well, if he can get it in the pocket, they should all go down. The extreme outside line, the ball drives to the 1-3, takes out the 5-9. Tom Milton has been so cool under the pressure this year, Chris. He's been in championship matches 3 times. He's won all 3 of the championship matches, averaged over 225 in the championship round. It's amazing, and you know, I think part of it's to better peripheral vision. He used to wear those glasses, and we went to those contact lenses this year, and I think it's made a big difference.
27-year-old. Stringing them now here in this final match. Really wanting to get on top in tournaments won this year, Tom Milton.
The late, great Billy Whaley. Trust is a must, your game is a bust, but he never saw this before in his days. This ball was hanging out over the channel. We would think it was all but over, and here it comes back, a perfect shot. He leads by 33, Tom Milton, 4 in a row.
Now with the double working, shooting in the 7th frame, Steve Cook.
Nice shot, idiot. Nice shot.
Now he said that, not Candy, his wife.
I think she just said it also. Chris, that was a disastrous shot for him. He needed a strike to stay in the match there, and he cuts right through the heart. He leaves the 2, 4, 6, 7, 10. He can make this. He has to slide the 2 into the 6 pin.
Almost left the house. The weight is left.
Well, the right-hand lane has been the culprit for most of the players today. We saw the two right-handed players, Houston and Hanley, have 7 splits and 11 attempts on the right-hand lane in their 2 matches, and it's been the undoing of Steve Cook right here as he has a big open frame here in a critical situation. Trails by 52, 8th frame, must strike to have any chance at all.
Active on the tour, 17 events. And now, only the 7th.
Cook with that big hook ball. Ball's out here. Look at this, 50 feet down the lane, cuts right through the heart. The 6 knocks out the 10, and he barely knocks the 4-7 and avoids the split. Needs to make this spare to end up with a possible 197.
Thanks.
Steve Cook, whose voice you hear. Tom Milton is now up. In the first match today, Earl Anthony defeated Bob Hanley 166 to 159. Then Anthony over Dave Houston 210 to 149. And then Cook defeated Anthony 225 to 176. Milton with 4 in a row, 8th frame.
Has to guard against dipping one off in the channel. That's the only thing that could turn the match around.
Although he was thinking as you think. He was safe.
Didn't give it as much room. It shows you some of the area he has with that ball not going quite as far out. We saw him in the replay we had before. He was outside the second arrow. Here he goes out to only about the 4th or 5th board. The ball comes back and saws out the hole back in. The frame before, in the 6th frame, Chris, he went out right to the 1 board. He has tremendous area and a lot of balls when he hits the pocket.
Like in all individual sports, you have to manage your game. Well, after 5 in a row, leaving the 10 pin on the left lane, very appreciative, friendly crowd in Denver, showing how they feel about his performance. And it's strong.
Tom Milton with a spare and 3 strikes would end up with a 248, would be the highest game of the day. We expected much more from all the other players, but he has this match well in hand, 61-pin lead.
All right. Tom Milton becomes the first professional on the PBT Tour, winter and spring, to win 3 tournaments this year. There he is, the champion. Tom Milton, 27 years old, from St. Petersburg, Florida. We'll have the final score for you. But first, we take this break. Tom Milton of St. Petersburg has won his 3rd tournament of the year, a 248 to Steve Cook's 177. Congratulations, young man.
Thank you very much.
Well, it's one step toward future honors in bowling.
Well, hopefully so. Maybe now I can give Earl a run for Bowler of the Year. He's got an awful lot of money, but at least I got another title.
Well, you get $13,000 for winning, and Tom Barger, who's a tremendously efficient general manager here at Celebrity, has a most unusual trophy, a solid silver medallion. Isn't that beautiful, Tom? And
Tom, on behalf of the owners of Celebrity Sports Center, Russ Ryder, Dirk Ryder, Bob Levitt, Neil Griffin, it's a pleasure to present this silver medallion as the winner of the 1983 Denver Open.
Thank you very much. This is my 3rd year here, and everything seems to be getting better every year. Hope you keep having a tournament.
what was it like off to the side watching the previous games and things that were happening to the professionals? Make you a little nervous, wouldn't it, or apprehensive?
Well, I just figured the best I could do is just come out and try and bowl a good game. Hope it was enough. Steve looked awful tough at the beginning of last game. He got a bad break at the beginning of this game, and I think it made a lot of difference.
Well, he always looks tough, that former archer. Nelson Burton is with Steve right now. Bo?
Steve, you started off really well, and looked like you just had a lot of fun out there. What happened the last game?
Well, like Tom said, at the 2nd frame, I thought I threw a pretty good shot, and, you know, I didn't strike. I left the 6-7, and I don't know, I felt really pretty good today. I really felt like I bowled good, and, you know, Tom bowled a better game. We fought it out all week, and, you know, he can end up being the winner. Left lane kind of got to me today. It was real tight during practice, and it seemed like it broke down quite a bit. I ended up moving like 6 or 7 boards in just the one game.
Well, the key had to be the 7th frame when you left the big split on the right-hand lane.
Well, I knew that I needed to throw another 2 strikes to stay close because he was starting to string him, and I just got stopped on 62, and the ball went through the beak, and I left a lot of those kind of splits this week, I'll tell you. That's the way it goes. You know, better luck next time.
Well, congratulations, Steve, and you bowled a good match. And Chris, you have a great winner up there with you now.
Certainly do. 3 this year. Tom Milton, what are your future plans now? Next week, Tucson?
Yeah, I'm going to bowl the rest of the year as far as I know. Just hope I can win a couple more. Hope every time I do, I don't have so much time to kill afterwards. All 3 on 1, I'm standing up here talking.
Well, you're doing better. As time goes on, Tom, I congratulate you one more time.
All right, thank you.
Okay, and the check from Tom Barger, 13 grand. That's it. Once again, the final score, Tom Milton, 248, Steve Cook, 177. Today's program was produced by Peter Engelhardt, directed by Dick Buffington, technical director Bob Bernthal, associate director Alan Broom. Now this is Chris Schenkel.